everybody, this is Kristen. Welcome back to Adventures in Metaphysics. And today is a very exciting day because Dawn Michelle at BohoTarot has started a tag that just felt like it was for my little librarian self. And the tag is called #PairingMyReads. So what she did is she paired her decks with the books that she either, I think one of them might have been currently reading or recently read or something, and something like that. But also just books that she really loves. And to tell you, my librarian soul left my body, did a backflip, and came back. When I saw this idea, I have just been so excited. And I've spent quite some time thinking about this, so I might have a lot of books to show. I kind of just want to get right into it. I'm really excited, and I do feel like I've got a bit of a list here. Not all of the books I have in person, or not the exact copy, because I am a library user. I don't honestly own many books. I've always been a library user, you know, and now when I go to work, I can just kind of take the books out when I'm there, you know, it's not an extra stop, I suppose. So there's that explanation, I guess, that nobody asked for. But anyway, let's just get right into it. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flip the camera around, we're gonna go through the cards of the deck, and I'm gonna follow what Dawn Michelle did and sort of give the synopsis of the book and read a little bit of the story. I'll try and find the part of the story that made me think of the deck I chose. I think that's what we're gonna do. So without further ado, let's get right into that. For my first deck and book pairing, I have one of my absolute favorites. That is Great Expectations and the Dark Mansion Tarot. Now this, I mean, it is a beautiful copy of this book. Where is it printed from? Oh, the Easton Press in Norwalk, Connecticut, which is nearby here, you know, near-ish by. And these are really well-made books, and someone donated like a whole probably bookshelf of them to the library a few months ago, and we could not believe our eyes when they came in, so of course, a lot of us working there bought up a few immediately. And so a few of the books I have to show are just these beautiful bound books. Oh my gosh, I still can't get over it. Anyway, this book has the most immaculate, spooky mansion vibes. Miss Havisham is, oh my gosh, she is wacky and wonderful, and I love her character. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really one for many classic novels or classic literature. It does not hold my attention. This one though, just the weirdness of it, just, oh my gosh, captured my attention immediately. I read it so fast. It's one of my favorites, and I've reread it a few times, and I usually cannot do that with books. So I'll read you a little bit of the plot, and then we will get into the cards. Great Expectations follows the childhood and young adult years of Pip, a blacksmith's apprentice in a country village. He suddenly comes into a large fortune from a mysterious benefactor and moves to London, where he enters high society. So, yeah, let's get right into the cards, I think. And I'm gonna read you a portion of the book what made me really think of this book. We went into the house by a side door. The great front entrance had 2 chains across it outside, and the first thing I noticed was that the passages were all dark, and that she had left a candle burning there. She took it up, and we went through more passages and up a staircase, and still it was all dark, and only the candle lighted us. At last we came to the door of a room, and she said, "Go in." I answered, more in shyness than politeness, "After you, miss." To this she returned, "Don't be ridiculous, boy, I am not going in," and scornfully walked away, and, what worse, took the candle with her. This was very uncomfortable, and I was half afraid. However, the only thing to be done being to knock at the door, I knocked, and was told from within to enter. I entered, therefore, and found myself in a pretty large room, well lighted by wax candles. No glimpse of daylight was to be seen in it. It was a dressing room, as I supposed from the furniture, though much of it was of forms and uses then quite unknown to me. But prominent in it was a draped table with a gilded looking-glass, and that I made out at first sight to be a fine lady's dressing table. Whether I should have made out this object so soon, if there had been no fine lady sitting at it, I cannot say. In an armchair, with an elbow resting on the table and her head leaning on that hand, sat the strangest lady I have ever seen or shall ever see. My next pairing, I have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen and the Revival Art Tarot. Now, something about the pastoral scenes in this deck, and even just the backs of them, instantly reminded me of that countryside feel we get in a lot of this story, at least from where Elizabeth comes from, and where the two worlds of kind of the country folk and the wealthier side of the story meet. And that's just really what this deck makes me feel. So, without further ado, let's get into the cards. It is truly universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. However little known the feelings or views of such a man may be on his first entering a neighborhood, this truth is so well fixed in the minds of the surrounding families that he is considered as the rightful property of some one or other of their daughters. "My dear Mr. Bennet," said his lady to him one day, "have you heard that Neverfield Park is let at last?" Mr. Bennet replied that he had not. "But it is," returned she, "for Mrs. Long has just been here, and she told me all about it." Mr. Bennet made no answer. "Do not you want to know who has taken it?" cried his wife impatiently. "You want to tell me, and I have no objection to hearing it." This was invitation enough. "Why, my dear, you must know. Mrs. Long says that Netherfield is taken by a young man of a large fortune from the north of England. That he came down on Monday in a chaise and four to see the place, and was so much delighted with it that he agreed with Mr. Morris immediately that he is to take possession before Michaelmas, and some of his servants are to be in the house by the end of next week. Okay, next, we're getting into my other favorite kinds of books, and that is cozy mysteries. So, the one I wanted to share, which is my absolute favorite series, is The Witch City Mysteries by Carolyn J. Perry. And this is not the first book, so I'm going to be speaking about the first book, which is called Caught Dead-Handed. This is just the one I'm currently reading. And I paired that with the Everyday Witch Tarot. So we are really going to bring the camera in because I only have the mini. So hopefully we can get in close enough to see these cards. So I chose to pair these two together because I love how Everyday Witch brings that magical feel into more of a modern world, but nothing that feels like too modern, if that makes sense. And that's exactly what these books do. It's very modern day set with that element of magic and sort of discovering these magical powers that the main character has. So, let's get into the cards. Most folks associate the city of Salem, Massachusetts with witches, but for Lee Barrett, it's home. This October, she's returned to her hometown, where her beloved Aunt Ibby still lives. to interview for a job as a reporter at Witch TV. But the only opening is for a call-in psychic to host the late-night horror movies. It seems the previous host, Ariel Constellation, never saw her own murder coming. Lee reluctantly takes the job, but when she starts seeing real events in the obsidian ball she's using as a prop, she wonders if she might really have psychic abilities. To make things even spookier, it's starting to look like Ariel may have been an actual practicing witch. Especially when Orion, the cat Lee and Aunt Ibby inherited from her, exhibits some strange powers of his own. With Halloween fast approaching, Lee must focus on unmasking a killer, or her career as a psychic may be very short-lived. Now, since I am a children's librarian, you had to know I was going to bring out the children's books. So I own a few of my favorites, and I'm just going to bring out 2 today, and I think we're going to leave it at that. And perhaps as I think of more, maybe I'll do more of these. I'm not sure. It's just so much fun, and I've just loved getting to think of pairings, but I didn't want to overwhelm in one video. So my next one I have is Frog and Toad are friends with the Fantastic Menagerie Tarot. Now, I had to pick Frog and Toad to go with Fantastic Menagerie because they are just in the cutest little, like, Victorian-era garb, which is exactly what the illustrations from J.J. Granville show in Fantastic Menagerie. So just visually, they paired so well. So let's look at the cards. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the front door. There was no answer. "Toad, Toad," shouted Frog. "Wake up! It's spring." "Blah," said a voice from inside the house. "Toad, Toad," cried Frog. "The sun is shining. The snow is melting. Wake up." "I am not here," said the voice. Frog walked into the house. It was dark. All the shutters were closed. "Toad, where are you?" called Frog. "Go away," said the voice from a corner of the room. Toad was lying in bed. He had pulled all the covers over his head. Frog pushed Toad out of bed. He pushed him out of the house and onto the front porch. Toad blinked in the bright sun. "Help," said Toad. "I can't see anything." "Don't be silly," said Frog. "What you see is the clear, warm light of April, and it means that we can begin a whole new year together, Toad. Think of it," said Frog. "We will skip through the meadows and run through the woods and swim in the river in the evenings. We will sit right here on this front porch and count the stars." "You can count them, Frog," said Toad. "I will be too tired. I am going back to bed." Now, last but not least for today, I have the Little Bear Treasury matched with my Northern Animal Tarot. So this is another book where we have anthropomorphized animals, but they live more so amongst nature, I feel. And this is a book I loved growing up and a TV show that I really, really loved. And it just reminds me so much of this deck, and I think it's part of the reason why I love this one so much. It's just comforting and heartwarming, and I think we should just get right into the story. Little Bear goes to the moon. "I have a new space helmet. I am going to the moon," said Little Bear to Mother Bear. "How?" asked Mother Bear. "I'm going to fly to the moon," said Little Bear. "Fly?" said Mother Bear. "You can't fly." "Birds fly," said Little Bear. "Oh, yes," said Mother Bear. "Birds fly, but they don't fly to the moon, and you are not a bird. Maybe some birds fly to the moon, or I don't know, and maybe I can fly like a bird," said Little Bear. "And maybe," said Mother Bear, "you are a little bear cub with no wings and no feathers." Maybe if you jump up, you will come down very fast with a big plop. Maybe, said Little Bear, but I'm going now. Just look for me up in the sky. Be back for lunch, said Mother. Little Bear thought, I will jump from a good high spot far up into the sky and fly up, up, up. I will be going too fast to look at things, so I will shut my eyes. Little Bear climbed to the top of a little hill and climbed to the top of a little tree, a very little tree on the little hill, and shut his eyes and jumped. Down he came with a big plop, and down the hill he tumbled. Then he sat up and looked around. My, he said, here I am on the moon. All right, I hope you all enjoyed my pairings. Oh, I definitely had more I feel like I could have done, but I didn't, again, want to make this video a million years long. I really especially loved pairing my children's books with my decks. That was really a lot of fun. So, big thank you to Dawn Michelle at BohoTarot for making this tag. It has brought me so much joy this past week. Just going through my books and thinking about pairing it with tarot. I mean, what a good idea. So, please be sure to like, subscribe, all the things, and as always down below I have links to my Etsy shop where you are more than welcome to book readings or see my crochet tarot bags there, and also links to all of the other social media where I would be so happy to connect with you all. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.